Hi everyone, welcome. In this video, we want to build this gradient colored testimonial page for an imaginary website. Here in the testimonials, you can see we have two sections, a top section and a bottom section. The top section consists of an image and the bottom, the name, some text and a button. At times it seems a little magical to do something like this, especially with the curved edges like this with HTML and CSS. But I'm going to show you the trick in this video to create something like this. It's very simple, so let's get started. I want to mention real quick that before we start this video, please, if you find any value in it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tutorials like this. It really helps me keep making videos like this. So let's get started. I created this folder on my desktop with the name Testimonials Demo. You can name it anything. Inside of it, I have one other folder called Images. In it, we have these images that I'll be using in this tutorial. I also have an empty index.html file and another one, the CSS file, which is currently empty. So I'll open this folder with my code editor, which is Visual Studio Code. And inside here, you can see the images folder with the images. We have the index.html and the style.css. So I'll head over to the index.html file and create a boilerplate code. So you type exclamation and hit tab, and this generates the boilerplate code. We change the title to, let's say, Testimonials. And after this, we'll link the HTML to the CSS. So type link the href to style.css. And from here, we'll jump into the body and create a div and give it a class container. And we'll give the CSS styling. But first, let's select the entire document, remove all the margin, set it to 0, padding, also 0, box sizing, border box. Now we'll select the container, give it a width 100%, give it a height 100 VH. We'll set the background color to floral white. Go back to the HTML and run this code with the VS Code live server extension. Now we have this blank web page with the background color on it. Now let's create the title, the testimonials here. So in the container, we'll create an H1 and give the text testimonials. In the CSS, we'll select this H1. It's in the container div, so container H1. We'll set text align to center. Font size 2 rem. Font weight 900. Set font family. We'll set it to Gilson empty, so we'll remove the first one. And give it padding 50 pixels. Now run this again. Now you can see our title over here. Now after this H1, we'll create another div with the class testimonials. Inside this testimonials div, we'll create another div and give it the class testimony. It's in this testimony div that we'll have all this over here, the top and the bottom section. So this is actually the container for each of the testimonials. Now let's add the CSS styling for this. We'll select the testimonials div. Give it a width 100%. Give it some padding, 100 pixels. Padding top should be 50 pixels. Set some display properties. Align items should be center. Justify content should be space between. Now inside the testimonials div, we'll select the testimony div. Testimonials.testimony. We'll set the width 300 pixels. We set the box shadow and give it this RGB color code. We'll copy this again, and with the comma, we'll paste it. And change the first two figures to negative, because we want the displacement at the other side of the box. We'll set the background image to linear gradients to right. This RGB color code, blue. When I save this, we still can't see anything because the testimony div does not have a height. So let's give it some height to start with. Okay, 200 pixels. Now you see we have something to start with. In the testimony div, we have the top section and the bottom section. The top where we have the image and the bottom where you have the name and the button, and also this text over here. So in the testimony div, we'll create a div and give it a class top. And in this top div, we'll link an IMG. We'll set the relative file path. It's in the images folder. Images. The first one is this one. We can remove the alt text for now. And after the top div, we'll create another div and give it a class button. And over here, we'll have an H3, which is the name. The first one is Mark Zuckerberg, but don't tell him we are using his name here. After this H3, we'll create a paragraph tag and generate some lorem text. And after the P tag, we'll create a button to read more. It's like this text is way too many. So let's just generate 20 words. This is okay now. And when I save this, you can see the size is looking very terrible. So let's give the CSS style. So now we'll start with the testimony top div. We'll select testimony dot top. We'll set the width to 100%, the height 50%. We set display flex, align item center, justify content center. We give it some border radius, 20 pixels. Set the background color to this RGB color code. Set the border bottom left radius to 50 pixels and padding 1 rem, which is like 16 pixels. Now let's start the image inside the top div. IMG. Set the width to 150 pixels. We'll give it the same height. Border radius, we'll give it 50% so that it will be rounded. We'll give it some border. 5 pixels solid with this RGB color code. Now when I save this, we'll say we have this, so we are getting somewhere. So let's continue. So now we'll start the bottom div, which is inside the testimony div. So we'll select testimony dot bottom. We'll give it some padding. We'll give it border radius 20 pixels, border top right radius 50 pixels, and we give it some background image, a linear gradient color, this RGB color code, and this color. We remove all the borders. So now let's start the H3 in the bottom div, which is the name. So testimony, select bottom, and H3. So we'll align the text to center. Give it a margin 5 pixels in the background color to this RGB color code. And we increase the font size to 1.5 rem. Now when I save this, you can see we have this, and it seems everything is overflowing the main container of it. And that's because the testimony div, we give it a fixed height. That's 200 pixels, I guess, here. So we can remove the height. Now there is a content in it. So, oops, I've also given it a background color instead of text color. So the H3, this should be color instead of background color. So when we save this, now you can see it's a color, a text color, not a background color. So now after this, we can start the paragraph tag. So select testimony dot bottom, then the P. Give it a margin button, 10 pixels. Change the font size, 2.9 rem. Set the font family. Set it to the same font size. And remove the first one. You can see this looks good now. So let's start the read more button. So testimony and button. We set display block. Give it some width, 150 pixels. We give it a height, 35 pixels should be okay. Now when I save, you can see the button is looking quite okay. Now we want it to be centered left and right, so it should be at the exact center from the left to right. So for that, we set margin auto. Now you can see it's at the exact center. Now set margin top. We'll give it some margin to the top, 25 pixels, increase the font size and give it some padding. So when I save, you can see it's a little far away from this one. But when we hover over it, you'll see that the cursor is not indicating that this button is clickable. So for that, we'll add cursor, we'll set it to pointer, so that when you hover over it, you see that pointer on it. I'll give it a background image, a linear gradient, of course, to the right. We'll give it this RGBA color code and another color width. We'll give it a text color of white. We'll give it a border, 1 pixel solid black. Then we'll set outline to none. And when I save this, you can see we have this button here with some background color, background image on it, and everything is looking the way we want it to. You can see the finished version is matching what we have built so far. So we have built almost 100% of the finished version. So now what we have to do is to add the remaining two, and for that we'll only copy the testimony div. So starting from here, copy it and paste it 2 more times and make the changes. So I'll change the image for the second one, as well as the name, and this is the name. So with the H3, and the last one, I'll switching the image. So this Elon, and the name to Elon Musk. When I run this again, now you can see we have it set over here, and this is the original, and this is what we've built so far. So folks, this is basically how we've come to the conclusion of this video, how we built this gradient colored testimonial page for an imaginary website using HTML and CSS. If you find any value in this video so far, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tutorials just like this one. If you have any questions, please do leave it in the comment section below. Hope to see you in the next one. As always, thanks for watching.